Hello, you absolute legends. Fresh cut flower here to teach you how to pick up and maintain a stable fan base. Imagine this. You find yourself in a position where you have an audience of people looking up to you. Be it complete strangers reading your fanfic about overpaid motorsports athletes kissing, be it people hiding behind anime avatars on Twitter replying with based and so true bestie under your P-log, or worse yet, viewers of the passion project that you call your YouTube channel. That's where you guys come in, by the way. Give me a woo yeah! Thanks. Great enthusiasm. Anyway, at this point, you might want to start looking at patterns. Identify what makes you tick, how much of you wish to inject into your videos, and hope that a part of it is reflected in your audience. That way, the seed you've planted starts to grow. Example number 1. Imagine you're a YouTuber for a hypothetical crime game, and your username is, let's say, Crime Game Fortune. In your position, you find yourself inherently attached to the audience that comes with the crime game in question. As such, you need to make sure that you keep a level head, and most importantly, avoid coming across as a contrarian, picking unnecessary fights with bigger content creators in the same sphere. If you do that, it'll obviously push your name out there, but, contrary to popular belief, not all promo is good promo. No one likes a prick. No one wants to network with a guy who is a constant Debbie Downer and can't read the room half the time he's invited. On the other end, for the audience, fatigue kicks in quite quickly, which leads to ever-decreasing view time. This is once again where you guys come in. If you've been enjoying this video so far and want to support me, please do go ahead and leave a like and a sub. It would greatly help me out. Also, first person to guess the hypothetical crime game YouTuber I was talking about gets a shout out in my next video. Good luck! Let's head from content creators to something else. Let's talk moderation. Community managers. We love them. We hate them. Most of the time they end up being the butt of half the community's jokes.
Hey man, it's Almir. What are you still doing here? Why are you still playing the game? What do you think is gonna happen? Why are you wasting time?
They're terrible, but to some degree, these are the faces of your brand. I've talked about this before. Since then, it's been made official that Elizabeth and Howard are now officially no longer community managers. For Eliz, she's found a spot as QA, which is an incredibly draining, thankless, and soul-crushing job. For Howard, I don't know actually. There hasn't really been an update yet, but I hope the best for her. She deserves it. Both of Unmoving was felt. The responses on Reddit grew colder, disjointed, nonsensical to a degree, completely disconnected from what was actually happening with the game. Outside of that, surveys. Ones that lure people in with Amazon gift cards. What an incredibly weird thing to do. More on brand with unofficial low-budget productions, rather than supposed AAA video game publisher and developer Starbreeze. As for Twitter, whoever runs a Twitter account is just painfully unfunny and out of touch. I do like the person running the Payday Aces High account though. They're pretty funny and chill, even if unintentional. This is the point at which I need to catch myself again. As I previously mentioned, no one likes a Debbie Downer, someone who constantly insists on focusing on the negative. Something I always like to tell people is that every wave of negativity is followed by an updraft of positivity. Sometimes you just need to catch it and hold on to it. And that's what we're seeing now. The Reddit seems to generally be doing a lot better. Answers are a lot more casual, a little more in-depth, and no nonsense. That's refreshing. Instead of giving generic, we'll be forwarding your concerns responses. The account is not just interacting, but also giving actual information. That's a big point here. Transparency. Not just saying that there will be something in the future, but also stating what it is, and if there's changes, trying to reason why they were introduced. Now, I should still note that on the update front itself, the game hasn't been doing that much better. We've gone from a short-lived, closed, Steam-only peer-to-peer test to rolling the feature out a few months later. Said update came with a handful of other changes. Adjustments to heist objectives, some animation tweaks, a few more balancing adjustments. Still, nothing more than things that should have been in the game many moons ago. But at least things are actively in motion now, with a supposed bi-monthly update schedule. There are still some things that need to change here, and unlike some other YouTubers, I am actually going to give an example and try to reason my decisions. For starters, the bi-monthly update schedule is nice, but could and maybe should be switched out with a monthly update schedule. in which 1 month is the ability focus patch that can introduce some major or minor balancing changes, While every second month should be a bigger content update. Be it a new variation of a pre-existing heist, a new gun, a proper new game-changing feature, rather than some basic challenge sets. I'll touch upon that later, by the way. For the state that Payday 3 finds itself in, currently there's zero momentum that follows it. Most of the time when it's brought up, it's the butt of yet another dead game joke. For this to change, it needs to give people a reason to come back. Not just once, but time and time again. You know, this would be the point where someone would potentially bring up Payday 2's update cycle, but that would be stupid for multiple reasons. Reason number 1. The crunch back then physically crippled people, so this is something that we should potentially avoid in the future. Reason number 2. The circumstances which Starbreeze find themselves in currently are very different from how things were 10 years ago. Reason number 3. One of the bigger things that Payday 3 was supposed to have going for it was quality over quantity, whereas Payday 2 was more about quantity over quality. Reason number 4. The community for the game itself isn't quite able to give a clear indication of what they want the game to be. With that in mind, I should also state that the heavy mismanagement is inexcusable. Let's give people a reason to come back, or potentially try the game out for the first time. Payday has done so many collabs and crossovers over the years, with them being very one-sided in recent memory. Rainbow Six Siege, The Division 2, PUBG, Tactical. Yeah, let's maybe not do Tactical. Let's actually ignore this ever happened. Twice. A literal asset flip video game. But yeah, Siege, look, it literally has a bank map. Imagine how cool it would have been for Siege players to get to play this map in Payday 3. Lure people in from different communities, give them a reason to try out your cool game instead, to give you a chance to gain some players and potentially more fans in the future. Cosmetics work too. Siege-inspired outfits. Maybe spend a pretty penny on making a character based on one of the Siege operators. Who cares about lore implications? The character is obviously way less feasible, but the cosmetics and the map are absolutely a good idea. Talking about giving people a reason to come back, what about those contracts? They're 4 sets of 4 tasks each, which you can do in a heist for some rewards, including some stickers, some gloves, charm. During a heist, you can't check what the task requires you to do. In the past, when the challenge system was still in the game, there was functionality to track challenges during a heist. The challenge system was taken out because people were upset at how slow the progression felt, on top of some challenges not properly tracking, but that's besides the point. These things weren't even remotely related, but Starbreeze has a bad habit of fixing the wrong thing in the wrong way. Once these contracts are done, then that's it, there's your content. It's a nice thing to build off of, I guess, but once again, nothing special. It's not a reason for people to come back, especially in a time where it needs it. This is not how you maintain a player base. In order to maintain it, you need to deliver consistent content, you need to tackle genuine issues, you need to work together with the community, you need to be transparent, you need to admit weaknesses, you need to start ignoring bad actors, and you need to stop ignoring the elephant in the room. Talking about elephants, let's talk about a little something else here. Misinformation and toxic growths. Unintelligible. My god, if you're talking to me from the standpoint of having been a mod workshop moderator, I already had a pretty bad opinion of this guy. And if you're talking to me from the perspective of being a Payday player, I would say that I absolutely cannot stand him. And if you're talking to me as a person, I would straight up say that he doesn't even deserve to be in the position that he's in. He sits shy of 9,000 subscribers and has found himself in a position where he's trying to make somewhat SAE videos surrounding Payday, when he's not making similar gaming compilation videos that many other people have made in the past, including myself. No harm done there. We all start somewhere before we find a direction for our channel, if we decide to go down a specific route of content creation, that is. The issue here is his inability to look over the bounds of the slop-filled plate that he's been given. There's a reason the Payday subreddit straight up told him to fuck off and called him a grifter even before the sniper debacle. In case you're unaware, he's made a video talking about how Payday 3's enemies are terrible, poorly designed, and not challenging. In this video, he did something very similar to what I did in my initial Payday 3 video, where I dissected what made them stand apart and how I disliked them. The issue with Unintelligible's video is that a lot of his complaints come down to the bigger systems surrounding the enemies, which he then completely fails to acknowledge, and instead points to the enemies themselves as being the issue. The main example here being that snipers took way too long to actually fire at you, which was absolutely valid, but it worked off of the armor system being limited, with no consumable slot to get quick armor plates from, or even regenerating armor in the first place. This was all pre-piss plates. Sorry, impact plates. A while after this video, one of the worst updates for Payday 3 dropped, in which they pretty much actively acknowledged the feedback given on the snipers from that video. A sub 10k YouTuber making an uneducated video with some insights but poor research. That's what Starbreeze took into account. Now snipers are incredibly deadly and fire in about a second, even tracking you when you break line of sight, even shooting you when their laser isn't targeting you, even being able to take out your entire armor if you're paying full attention to them. Not helped by bad map design, bad enemy spawns, increased sniper spawns. 2 snipers can now spawn in the same spot. He's also an edgelord as per his past Mod Workshop antics. Pair that with him being an unfunny, you hate capitalism, yet you participate in it type person on the Steam community forums for a game about killing Nazis, where he called the dev out for promoting his game on Twitter. Unintelligible is a fat, unfunny chud. Even crime game Fortune is better than this. Anyway, personal rant aside, we still have to talk about the bigger picture that comes from this. With 2 videos hitting over 500k views, this left an impact on the community. A community that often blindly follows, without critical thinking being something that gets considered. I might sound a little mean and bitter here, but it's something that you'll notice if you spend time in the general bigger Payday community. Especially if you're in the official Payday Discord. Anyway, back on topic. The community, or rather what's left of it, is incredibly young and impressionable. As with these things, it's also incredibly easy to influence them with big words and big videos. Such as this one, I guess. In turn skewing the vision of a game in favor of one big content creator. For example, the shift towards Super Silly from Russian Badger. Even though he doesn't really use big words, rather using big attention-keeping videos instead. Unintelligible hit the big audiences, even going as far to influence other bigger creators outside of the Payday sphere. Which is where this brings me to one of Nerdslayer's more recent videos on Payday 3. Nerdslayer Studios is a channel that heavily leans on essay videos on failed video games. This also includes Overkill's The Walking Dead and Payday 3. The Overkill's The Walking Dead video greatly interested me, as I obviously have a lot of knowledge about a lot of the things that happened not only around the community, but also the developers themselves. From ex-employees talking about it to investor reports, we have a great understanding of what really went down. So I was incredibly disappointed when Nerdslayer's video basically quoted Eurogamer's The Fall of Starbreeze article verbatim. On top of that, it was still filled to the brim with misinformation, such as claiming that Payday 3 released in 2019. So imagine my surprise when they later released another video, this time specifically talking about Payday 3. And it was almost just as bad. Just this time, instead of quoting a Eurogamer article, it ended up running down a lot of the points that Unintelligible used in one of his videos about the game. Do you understand how bad this really is? He went out of his way to cite him as a major source of information from the inside of the Payday community. Unintelligible, which I already explained is an unreliable middleman. And this is what gets pushed out onto the greater sphere of the internet, outside of the Payday bubble, onto people with less of an understanding. So the misinformation spreads. Content creators are a major reason as to why games stay alive. They awake interest in new people. They relay information onto the active player base, sometimes more clearly than the developers themselves. They do marketing for free, basically. It's a tale as old as time at this point, and most companies have realized this, even someone like Nintendo. So, taking this into account, all the drama that surrounded Payday, most recently the subscription service, which came with an absolutely overblown hate mob behind it, this is what the free marketing for this game has turned into. Relaying misinformation, accentuated with true facts to seal the deal. Something needs to change here, and for that to happen, there needs to be an active shift in the mentality of the community surrounding the game. In a previous video I mentioned as a side note that I felt that the marketing material as well as the general interaction with the community from managers had always felt a little infantilizing, and that, back when I was 14, I looked to the game as something that I could enjoy with it treating me more as an adult rather than a kid. It's very obvious that the community is younger than it's ever been, but that doesn't mean that the game itself has to pander to that. it'll only drive away those people that have grown up with the game, that have a genuine passion for it, as well as running the risk of weeding out those players who are willing to give it a shot in passing, from finding out about it in another game's collaboration with it. One easy way of counteracting that would be clearer, more direct communication from the developers. This means explaining major system changes like peer-to-peer, treating the player and the reader not just as a mindless consumer, but as someone who should be allowed to peek beneath the curtain and actually gain an understanding of what these things really do. This also means comprehensive change logs, explaining what certain bug fixes might entail, what the point behind the weapon animation tweaks are, where the stat changes put certain breakpoints, what the difficulty tweaks are about, how skill changes might affect some difficulties but not others, how spawn rates aren't synonymous with difficulty. This also requires extensive communication between the people writing these announcements and the people making these changes. There's a lot that you need to keep in mind here, but trying to be transparent and forward would make discussions surrounding the game more focused on true fact, rather than hearsay, opinion, and assumptions. Ultimately, I hope that this is where we're slowly headed, with getting some snippets of footage from people actively working on the game, showing off weapons and modeling software, teasing certain features that might be coming in the future. But, as someone who, in spite of everything, still finds themselves to be passionate for this game, I will always want more, because I want this game to turn into the best version of itself that it could possibly be. Not just okay, not just an acceptably fun time. I want it to be better. A part of that is also down to the community. Its content creators, its fans, the ecosystem that entails all of it. If you treat your community well and with respect, whilst occasionally slapping their fingers when they overstep certain lines, it'll give back and grow, maturing with and alongside you, making sure that it's more than just a game to your fans. This is probably the point at which I should shout out my personal little Discord community, which is really just a server for my friends to hang out in. But in saying that, I still can't thank all of them enough for being around and spending time with me during some of the tougher years that I've been through. If you want to join in and steal some awful memes for other servers that you're in, there's a link in the description. Everyone's invited, even you. Anyway, that's it from me for the month. So keep your heads up, and look ahead to what's to come, and most importantly, take care of yourselves along the way.